Admiral Krell of the Galactic Hegemony lazily stretched his 4 upper appendages and yawned, displaying rows of serrated teeth that would make a shark envious. His lower appendages remained firmly planted on the command deck as he stared at the holographic display of the blue-green planet below. "So this is Earth," he drawled, his voice dripping with boredom. "Tell me again why we needed my battlecruiser for this. Primitive ball of water?" Lieutenant Morg, his science officer, cleared her throat nervously. "The indigenous species calls themselves humans, Admiral. Our preliminary scans indicate they have achieved basic spaceflight and rudimentary nuclear capabilities." "How quaint," Krell snorted, flicking a dismissive tendril. "And the hegemony wants what, exactly?" "Resources, sir. Their planet is unusually rich in rare minerals and biological diversity. The Council has authorized a standard collection operation." Krell's external membrane pulsed with blue light, the hegemony equivalent of rolling one's eyes. "And they sent my ship for this? I could be crushing the Vorlon rebellion right now." "There was a note in the xenobiology report, sir," Morg added hesitantly. "The humans evolved on what might be classified as a Deathworld." "Ha!" Krell's laugh startled several bridge officers. "Look at their pathetic orbital stations. Their primitive projectile weapons. One collection vessel should be more than sufficient. Prepare the harvester." "Just one vessel, sir?" Morg questioned, antenna twitching anxiously. "Did I stutter, Lieutenant? One single vessel." Krell punctuated each word with a jab of his primary manipulator. "Let's get this over with. I have a dinner reservation in the Cygnus cluster." Captain Lena Nakamura of the UES Mercury's Pride frowned at the massive alien vessel that had appeared at the edge of Earth's defense perimeter. Its design was unlike anything humanity had encountered before, all twisted spires and pulsing, organic-looking hull plating. "Any response to our hails, communications?" she asked, maintaining her composure despite the growing knot in her stomach. "Negative, Captain," replied Lieutenant Park. "We've tried all frequencies and first contact protocols. They're receiving but not responding." Nakamura's eyes narrowed as a smaller craft detached from the mothership. "Tactical analysis?" Commander Rivera looked up from his console, face grim. "The smaller vessel appears to be deploying some kind of harvesting apparatus. They're heading straight for the Atlantic mining zone." "Put me through to them again," Nakamura ordered, her voice steel-edged. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Lena Nakamura of Earth Defense Forces. You are entering restricted Earth territory without authorization. Please respond or alter course immediately." Admiral Krell watched the human transmission with amusement. "Look at them, thinking they have a say in this. How adorable." "Sir," Morg interjected, "their vessel is moving to intercept the harvester. Let them gawk at superior technology. The harvester's shields can withstand anything these primitives might throw at it." The bridge fell silent as a brilliant beam of concentrated energy lanced out from the human vessel, precisely striking the harvester's forward shield emitter. Krell's expression shifted from amusement to disbelief. "Was that a warning shot?" "Direct hit, sir," Morg confirmed, voice trembling slightly. "Shield capacity reduced by 18%. For the first time in decades, Admiral Krell felt something unfamiliar creeping up his spine. It might have been respect. Or possibly, just possibly, fear. #only one ship. Part 2, unexpected resistance. Admiral Krell's membrane paled to a sickly yellow as alarms blared across the command deck. The harvester was under sustained attack, and, most shocking of all, it was actually taking damage. "What is happening?" he roared, slamming all 4 upper appendages onto the console. Lieutenant Morg frantically analyzed incoming data. "Sir, the humans have deployed multiple vessels. They're using some kind of focused particle weapons we didn't detect in our initial scans. Krell's eyes swiveled to the tactical display, where 6 human ships now surrounded the Harvester. His mind flashed back to the intelligence briefing just 2 cycles ago. Earth represents minimal threat, the Hegemony intelligence officer had droned. Primitive nuclear fission technology. Limited spacefaring capabilities. No unified planetary government. Recommend standard resource extraction protocols. No one had mentioned the adaptive shield frequencies the humans were now somehow exploiting. No one had noted their surprisingly advanced targeting systems. And certainly no one had warned him about their tactical coordination. Sir. The Harvester's primary collection array has been disabled. Morg reported, her voice rising an octave. Impossible. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Emergency transmission from the Harvester, Admiral, called the communications officer. The holographic display flickered to show the Harvester's command deck, now bathed in red emergency lighting. Smoke billowed from ruptured conduits. And standing nervously at the communications array was a junior officer Krell vaguely recognized. Ensign. Plex, isn't it? Krell growled. Why yes, Admiral, stammered the young officer, his facial tentacles quivering. Commander Zarks is incapacitated. I must report that our main drive is failing and 3 collection pods have been destroyed. How? How? Krell bellowed. Ensign Plex swallowed nervously. Sir, I studied human historical records during my xenoculture rotation. They have a concept called asymmetric warfare, using unexpected tactics against a technologically superior force. I tried to warn Commander Zarks, but, spare me your excuses, Krell interrupted. Activate the emergency drive and return to the mothership immediately. That's not possible, sir, Plex replied, flinching visibly. The human vessels have deployed some kind of magnetogravitational tether. We're locked in place. The main view screen shifted to show the human vessel's formation. With a growing sense of dread, Krell recognized the elegance of their strategy, each ship positioned to cover the other's vulnerabilities, creating an inescapable net. The human commander, Morg said softly, checking her data. She's Captain Lena Nakamura. Former tactical instructor at their Naval Academy. Sir, she's using our own momentum against us. Krell stared at the image of the human captain now visible on a secondary screen. The small, soft-looking creature was calmly giving orders, her face showing neither fear nor uncertainty, only determined focus. Sir, Ensign Plex's voice came through again, the humans are preparing to board us. What are your orders? For the second time that day, Admiral Jax Krell of the mighty Galactic Hegemony found himself at a loss for words. #only one ship? #Part 3, the tables turn, stand down all weapons. Prepare to be boarded, Admiral Krell transmitted to the Harvester, each word burning his pride like acid. Cooperate fully with the humans. That's an order. Ensign Plex watched nervously as the airlock cycled open. He'd studied humans extensively, found their culture fascinating, actually, but nothing had prepared him for seeing them in person. They moved fast. Despite wearing what appeared to be heavy protective suits, the boarding party swarmed through the Harvester's corridors with unsettling speed and coordination. Their movements were precise, efficient, predatory. By the void, whispered a technician beside him. How are they so strong? Plex watched in astonishment as a human soldier, a female barely half the size of a juvenile hegemony warrior, effortlessly tossed aside a fallen support beam that would have required a mechanical assist for most species. Earth, Plex explained quietly, remembering his studies. It's a death world. 1.3 standard gravity. Constant background radiation from their sun. Atmospheric oxygen levels that would be considered toxic to most hegemony species. He swallowed hard. And they evolved alongside apex predators. Their planet tried to kill them every day for millions of years, and they won. The humans were examining the ship's atmosphere controls now, casually adjusting settings that would have caused immediate respiratory distress for Plex. One removed her helmet, seemingly unconcerned about potential pathogens. Their immune systems, Plex continued, fascinated despite his fear. They've evolved to fight microscopic threats we can't even comprehend. A sudden hush fell as a new figure entered, smaller than the soldiers, but radiating unmistakable authority. Captain Nakamura. "Where is Admiral Krell?" she asked, her voice translated through a small device at her wrist. Plex found himself involuntarily stepping forward. "The Admiral remains on the mothership, Human Captain. I am Ensign Plex, Xenocultural Specialist." Nakamura's eyes, alarmingly sharp and perceptive, locked onto him. "Tell your Admiral I want to speak with him. Now." When Admiral Krell's holographic form materialized in the Harvester's command center, he expected to find chaos. Instead, he found humans efficiently operating his technology, some already improving it. A human technician had reconfigured the atmospheric regulator in ways that seemed impossible. Another was casually scrolling through the Hegemony Codex, deciphering encryption that had taken other species decades to crack. "Your species was severely miscategorized in our database, Captain Nakamura," Krell admitted, trying to maintain some dignity. "Funny how that happens when you don't bother with proper first contact protocols," Nakamura replied coolly. "Now, let's discuss terms." "Terms?" Krell sputtered. "The Hegemony does not negotiate with the Hegemony," Nakamura interrupted, "sent one ship to steal from a world of billions of apex predators. Let's be clear about who miscalculated here." Ensign Plex found himself translating nuances the automatic systems missed, explaining human expressions and unstated threats to his increasingly uncomfortable admiral. Perhaps, Krell finally conceded, a cultural exchange would be beneficial. Nakamura's smile didn't reach her eyes. "We're way past cultural exchanges, Admiral. We're talking reparations now." And for the third time that day, Admiral Jax Krell was speechless. #only one ship? Part 4, the new paradigm. 1 month later, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Hegemony Council buzzed with agitated voices. The emergency session had been running for 6 straight hours, and the atmosphere was thick with tension. "Order! I will have order," shouted High Counselor Vex, slamming a ceremonial staff against the floor. The chamber gradually quieted. "Let us review the situation," Vex continued, his voice echoing through the vast hall. "In just 4 weeks, the humans have not only reverse-engineered our shield technology but have somehow improved its efficiency by 23%. Murmurs rippled through the gathered representatives of 300 species. "Furthermore," Vex added, his voice strained, "they have formally requested, no, demanded, full access to our interstellar drive specifications and membership in the Galactic Council. As a sovereign power." At the back of the chamber, former Admiral, now Transport Coordinator, Jax Krell slouched in his seat, trying to become invisible. His once proud uniform had been stripped of decorations, his authority reduced to overseeing cargo manifests. The ultimate humiliation for a warrior of his stature. "Ambassador Plex," Vex called, "you have spent the most time among these humans. Please address the council." Plex stepped forward, his newly appointed diplomatic robes still feeling strange against his skin. Just weeks ago, he had been a junior ensign. Now, his understanding of human culture had catapulted him to one of the most important diplomatic positions in the hegemony. "Esteemed council members," Plex began, "I must emphasize that the humans' terms are non-negotiable. They demand reparations for the attempted resource theft, plus technology exchange as compensation for the violation of their sovereignty." "Outrageous," shouted a representative from the collective worlds. "With respect," Plex continued calmly, "I would remind the Council that humans have already demonstrated their ability to defeat our military technology. Moreover, they've indicated they can replicate it without our assistance. They're simply offering us the courtesy of a peaceful resolution." Courtesy, snorted a counselor from the Tri-System Alliance. They're Deathworlders. Savages. That attitude, Plex replied firmly, is precisely why we find ourselves in this predicament. Their homeworld's harsh conditions didn't make humans savage, it made them adaptable, innovative, and exceptionally determined. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. 2 days later, Captain Lena Nakamura sat across from Ambassador Plex on the observation deck of the Mercury's Pride. Earth glowed blue and peaceful below them, while the Hegemony mothership hovered at a respectful distance. To new beginnings, Nakamura said, raising a glass of amber liquid. Plex raised his own specially formulated drink. To new beginnings, he echoed. The treaty signing tomorrow will officially welcome Earth into the galactic community. On our terms, Nakamura added with a slight smile. On your terms, Plex agreed. Though I must know, would you really have attacked the mothership if we hadn't agreed to negotiations? Nakamura's eyes twinkled. A good captain never reveals all her cards, Ambassador. Plex chuckled, a habit he'd picked up from humans. The hegemony has existed for 12,000 years, Captain. In all that time, no species has ever joined without completing the traditional 100-year probationary period. First time for everything, Nakamura replied, gazing at the stars. Indeed. Plex followed her gaze toward the vast expanse beyond. The hegemony has learned a valuable lesson from Earth. And what's that? Never underestimate a species that survived its own evolution, Plex said thoughtfully. And certainly never send just one ship to steal their resources. They clinked glasses as Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun, one small planet that had just changed the course of galactic history.